How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, good. I'm excited to be here, man.
Awesome,
I'm really
awesome.
excited
Thanks
to
for
talk
joining me today.
Yeah, there's so much to cover, a lot to talk about here.
Oh, I know.
I don't know if you want to jump into the interest rates right now.
Sure, yeah. That's the most recent news, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So we could talk about that. So, Bank of Canada, they didn't raise it, right?
Yeah, they announced yesterday that they were going to hold interest rates,
Yeah.
so they kept them flat at 4.5%.
So what do you think? Is that good or bad? Like,
Wow.
it's good in the sense that I think
it's good that it's good in the sense that people feel a little
Yeah.
bit of relief in
Right.
terms of, at least in their mind,
Yeah.
that the Bank of Canada is not going to raise rates. So they're thinking, okay, their mortgage rates aren't going to go up for the time being. So whatever it is right now.
And it's a positive thing for the economy because people will be like, you know. That,
I mean,
that
again, it's not keeping rates flat doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
stimulate the economy.
Yeah.
Reducing interest rates
Yeah.
gives a little bit more of that sense of, okay, you know what?
Yeah,
Let's spend some money.
which
here.
we're not going to see that anytime soon.
I mean,
You could see a reduction.
I think we will see a reduction.
Oh, yeah?
But probably not until 2024, if I had to guess.
Oh, really, eh?
When the economy really starts to struggle, because I think you're going to see a lot more downside pressure on the economy in general for 2023.
Yeah.
The central bank, the Federal Reserve, announced yesterday they're likely going to continue raising rates.
That's weird. So why did we stay? We stayed steady,
Well-
and the U.S. is raising.
Because the inflation numbers in the U.S. came in pretty hot.
Okay.
So
that's
and-
basically what dictates.
the inflation
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
unemployment rate is also at the lowest rates in over 50 years in the United States. So I believe it's below
I know, eh?
4%,
Isn't that-
which is really odd. I mean,
Yeah, that is odd.
because there's been a lot of job cuts for
Yeah.
major corporations. You're seeing tens of thousands of jobs being eliminated. So I mean, again, these numbers are not to be really trusted, in my opinion, either.
Yeah.
And they do change the way they calculate unemployment today as opposed to
Yeah,
in
that's
the past.
true too.
Because now if you leave the workforce and you're out of the workforce for over a year, they remove you from that calculation. So you're no longer an unemployed person. You're just somebody
Yeah.
who's not looking for
Yeah.
work. So, I mean, they do play around with the numbers for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as, will it stimulate the economy? Keeping the rates flat, definitely, I don't expect it to stimulate, but
Yeah.
I think it will. What it's designed to do is to hope people will think, okay, you know what, the central bank will continue to not raise rates, right? They're hoping that this is a sign of what's to come. And that would maybe cause some people to say, you know what, these are high mortgage rates for me, but maybe I can pull it off because they're
Yeah.
not going to continue to raise.
Right,
So it's kind
yeah.
of trying to create a sense of
Yeah, so it is somewhat positive
it
for
is,
the economy.
for sure.
But then again, let's talk about where we have high inflation too in Canada
sure.
too. So you have to raise the interest rates kind of
Yeah.
to tame that inflation. No,
That's usually
yeah.
the case. You have to
Yeah.
raise. Usually, the theory is you have to raise the level of interest rates to the level of inflation if you really want to stop inflation.
Right.
I mean, I know Canada's saying our inflation is around 6-7%, but in reality, I think we all know it's probably closer to 15 to 20%.
Wow.
So I mean, the interest rates are right now at 4.5, so still below the level of inflation they're admitting to. So the risk that we have now is when the inflation numbers come out the months ahead, are we going to see it continue to contract and come down like we have been seeing? Because they did raise rates 8 times in a row, which is historic, right? I mean, we've never seen a central bank raise rates to that level in such a short period of time. I mean, it's definitely historical and you can almost say insane that they were able to raise rates that quickly in that short period of time.
I know.
So yeah, I mean, there's obviously what we need to see now is what's going to happen with inflation in the coming months. Is it going to stay flat? Is it going to come down, or is it going to increase? If it increases, that's when we're in trouble. If you see the inflation rates in Canada start to creep up, the Central Bank of Canada will have no choice but to raise rates again.
Right.
And that's the risk that we're going to have, and that's something I actually see that is likely to possibly happen. And so I don't think the interest rate hikes are done for the Bank of Canada. I think we will have 1 or 2 more for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I think the U.S. is going to have at least 2 more. So who knows? It's all going to be dependent on data, like what the inflation is going to be, what the unemployment is going to be, all these things.
Right. And now if you don't raise the interest rates, what's the bad side of that? Isn't the currency aren't you tanking the currency?
Yeah. You're either by raising rates, you strengthen the currency, and by lowering rates, you weaken the currency.
Right.
Okay. So we've spent decades.
So
lowering rates.
We've had free money for years.
Yeah. So interest rates have come down for over 40 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, our economy has been skyrocketing. The housing market's been booming. Our central banks have had years of opportunity to raise rates, and they didn't. So you can argue that they are responsible for the inflation,
right?
Which is a hidden tax, which is one of the scariest things for the citizens of Canada and the rest of the world is inflation. That is the one thing that can really put you from middle class to poverty in a very short period of time. So it's a really scary proposition.
So it's like a catch-22. If you don't raise the interest rates, then you're affecting the dollar, right? The Canadian dollar and the American dollar. You're weakening.
And that's what we saw yesterday. The Canadian dollar really tanked because they didn't raise, and the Central Bank of Canada, the United States is saying they're going to raise. So that caused the U.S. dollar to really spike and went to $1.38 Canadian.
That's right.
Which is the highest it's been in several months.
Sure, because I'm going to Florida next week and I got to exchange money, and that's called the Marcello Pizzo effect.
It always works that way, doesn't it?
No, and so that's scary. Well, both sides are scary, right? Because you can't handle an economy with high interest rates, but you can't tank the dollar either. So how do you survive this? It's like it's a lose-lose situation for me. That's the way I vision it.
They are in a terrible spot, and there's no way out. To be honest with you, you either tank the dollar or you tank the economy. And my guess is they're going to tank the dollar, and because that's historically what they do, and that's how central banks are able to continue to stimulate the economy and keep the economy going is by reducing interest rates. Money printing programs. I think you're going to see more of that, more money printing programs. Eventually, they're going to reduce interest rates because you're going to see, as these interest rates continue to go higher, the economy is going to get worse and worse and worse. And eventually, the central banks are going to have no choice but to reduce interest rates. And at that point, they're going to sacrifice the dollar and for the economy, and that's likely what we'll see in the next 12 months. I think you'll see a reverse on interest rates, and they'll start reducing them as the economy continues to slow down. Yeah,
which leads me to the next thing. This is why I'm here. It's your area expertise is other alternative methods of investing that you can protect yourself out there, especially for me. So like precious metals, which you own Can-Am Currency and you're a authorized dealer. With the Canadian Mint. Yep. So I'd like to talk about that, because I don't know much about precious metals at all. And I know probably a lot of people watching this don't.
Sure.
And a lot of people I talk to are lost when it comes to that. And it's always very basic questions. So first of all, how do you buy precious metals? Number one. So
there's not a lot of places you can buy gold and silver. And to be honest with you, not a big percentage of the population even knows where to buy gold and silver. So, right now you can go to the bank. A couple banks in Canada, I think CIBC and TD are the two banks that I know of that sell precious metals.
Right.
Or I recommend going to a local dealer. So that's what we are here. We're an authorized dealer with the Royal Canadian Mint. We obviously have better pricing than the banks. You can also walk out with precious metals that day when you come into the store.
Oh, that's nice.
So you can also go online and order from online bullion dealers. Just make sure that they're legitimate. There is some. You have to make sure that they're a respected bullion dealer and they are an authorized dealer.
So what are you looking for when you buy gold and silver? It's Canadian Mint. What else?
It really depends on what country you're located in.
So what country
Since
it is?
We're Canadians, if you are going to buy government minted coin, I think buying your own country makes the most sense.
Right.
Because of brand recognition in your own country, right? When you go to sell it, you want people to know what they're buying from you. So they're going to be more willing to buy a Royal Canadian Mint product, or even for bartering purposes, if the banking system were to go down. People are well aware of what a Royal Canadian Mint silver coin is.
Right.
So they'll be more willing to accept that.
100%, yeah.
Versus a private minted round, which isn't deemed as currency by the government of Canada. So that's probably your biggest difference between a private minted round and a government minted coin.
So what's the purpose of buying a private one? You
save money.
Oh, you say it's cheaper?
More bang for your buck. You get more silver. So you save about 7%.
So
a lot of, to be honest with you, that's the most popular thing we sell because people really want to just obtain the most amount of silver they can.
Okay, got you.
Now, I don't recommend just buying private minted because I think there is a place for government minted products as well. Because you could also run into a situation where there's supply-demand issues for the government minted products that would drive the price of those coins up significantly while the rounds stay at the same price.
Okay, yeah.
And that happened last year with the American Eagles. They went up about 40% while the other coins didn't go up that much because of the supply-demand issues, because the government stopped producing U.S. minted American Eagles.
Right.
So there was the least amount of Eagles that were produced by the U.S. Mint was last year. So when there's silver shortages in the world, the first to stop producing is usually government mints. So that could cause some supply issues in the future, which would cause those government minted coins to go up.
Yeah, that'd be great. So people like out there, even myself, so you buy gold and silver. What do you do with it? Where do you store it? Do you bring it home or do you leave it at a bank?
Yeah, I mean, you have options.
I mean, you own a company with that. Do you offer storage, all that stuff?
We offer storage services. However, I do recommend people do hold it in their own possession. Yeah. First and foremost, if you can, keep it in your house. Yeah. I recommend that first and foremost.
And don't tell your neighbors.
Don't tell your neighbors. Don't tell your friends. Just tell them you buy the ETFs of gold and silver.
Yeah, exactly. No, I have no gold. I have no silver.
Yeah. Exactly. Just say you own the paper.
Meanwhile, you got this big vault behind your closet.
Exactly. Yeah. So don't be vocal about it. Don't show people where you're storing it. Now, number two is you can store it with a company like ours, or you can store it with vaults all across North America. We have access to vaults all over North America and also in Switzerland as well, where you just pay 1% to 2% annual fee to have it stored, and it's fully insured.
And it's insured too.
You can take delivery at any point. So if you want it, if you want it actually in your house after the fact, they'll ship it right to your house instantaneously. So or you can sell it on the spot at any point. That's the nice thing about gold and silver. To me, it's the most liquid asset in the world. You can sell it at any time. There's no when you go sell a stock, it might take 3, 4, or 5 days for you to actually have access to the funds. But in precious metals, it's right away. Like if you come here and sell me your gold and silver, you're gonna leave with a check or a wire into your bank account. So it's instantaneous. So to me, it's the most liquid asset.
I'm thinking of the worst case scenario in my head, and it's running. So say the dollar tanks, and it becomes like worthless. What do you do? Like I always wondered, and I got this question from a friend of mine. So he goes, "Well, what do you do if you had gold and silver? What do? You go to the grocery store with a 1 ounce gold. Like how do you get change back?
That question happens.
You know
all
what
the
I
time.
mean? I get that. I got that question a few times, and I really didn't know how to answer it.
It's actually. I mean, really, you just go sell it at a dealer. I mean, and on the spot, right? So let's just say you needed $200 to do grocery shopping. Yeah. You could just come to like Can-Am, for example, sell your $200 of silver. Yeah. Take the cash and go to your store and pay for it.
Right.
So, you have to convert it into fiat currency to be able to.
Yeah, so fiat currency will always still exist.
Fiat currency is not going away. Whether it will be. The only thing that might change is you may go from a cash system to a fully digital system, like central bank digital currencies. So that is the one change that we could see happen in the future. What we will see happen in the next coming years. We'll see central bank digital currencies across the world.
Well, I don't think we want to see that.
We don't want to see that, but I don't really think we have much of a choice. I think they're going to be coming in very soon. They've done a lot of work on them already, so it's just a matter of when they want to pull the trigger on going live with those. Right. So, my guess is you'll probably see some type of event prior to ushering in the new central bank digital currency, some type of monetary event.
Well, what we were talking about before is this is the conspiracy theories. They want to tank the dollar so they could introduce this digital and say, hey, right? Almost it's like the perfect storm for them. Well, your dollar tanked, but don't worry, we got this digital currency for you. Yeah. And here's 5,000 in digital currency.
It may not even be the dollar tanking because that can take time. The dollar won't just collapse overnight. Yeah. So it doesn't have to tank as much. There could be other situations that cause them to introduce central bank digital currency. Yeah. For example, a cyber attack, which is something that the World Economic Forum talks about in great detail. Yeah. So that you could see something like that where our banking system gets attacked and now the government will come out and say these currencies are not safe on the current platforms because they can be hacked by other countries. So we need to move to a more secure infrastructure for our money, which would be central bank.
Okay, so that's another.
That's what I think will be more likely, because they're going to be introducing them soon, and I don't think the dollar is going to tank in the next 2 years. Because I think central bank digital currencies are going to be ushered in the next 1 to 2 years. But I do think before they come in, they're going to have some type of event that allows the citizens of that country to actually accept it, or maybe even want it. Because it may even be a situation where they say, you know what, open up a central bank digital currency account, and we will send you $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, but you have to open up this central bank digital currency account.
Right, that
so
incentive,
it'll be in tandem with the old system.
Yeah.
But this will be a new system. So if you want to get into the new system, there will be benefits for you. We'll send you money right off the hop. You know what I mean? Or maybe the universal basic income will be introduced, and it'll be done on the new central bank digital currency platform.
Right.
There's a lot of things that can happen. Nobody knows, but I mean,
they definitely need a crisis to introduce it, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and that's scary to think of that. Which before I want to get into that, back to the precious metals is. Now, in my lifetime, I've seen a lot of bull markets appear, especially the tech boom in stocks. I don't want to miss out on another bull market. There's been, real estate boom. There's been so many.
Yeah.
People are saying silver. Silver is the next bull market.
I think precious metals in general,
it's going to be the next.
But I think silver in itself is an animal waiting to be unleashed. I mean, I think silver has so much huge upside potential. I mean, the new use cases, because silver is the best conductor of electricity in the world. Okay, so it's used in all technology products, so cell phones, laptops. But the two new use cases for silver that are driving shortages in the silver market are electric cars and solar
EVs,
panels.
Yeah.
So those two, the growth initiatives in the EVs and solar panels over the coming years is astronomical, and they both require a large amount of silver. And we're already seeing global shortages in the silver market that we haven't seen ever before
in the history of time. Yeah,
already, and we haven't even seen the growth, the huge growth of EVs and solar panels yet. That's coming both in China and in North America. So I mean, where is this silver going to come from? The silver is very limited. It's finite. It's one of the most scarce assets in the world, and it's used for industrial purposes, and it's also money. Silver's been money for 5,000 years. So I mean, and the price is so cheap historically. It's 90 times, gold is 90 times more expensive than silver at this point. If you go back thousands of years, that average was 16 to 1. That ratio was 16 to 1. It was based off the amount of silver being mined out of the ground versus the amount of gold being mined. So they were mining 16 times the amount of silver versus gold. So that ratio was fixed at 16 to 1. That's how they came up with the price of gold versus silver.
Interesting. I never knew that.
And now the silver's being mined at 7 to 1. So so less silver is being mined now. So the ratio, if it was calculated the way it used to be, gold and silver, the ratio should be 7 to 1.
Right.
And right now we're at 90 to 1, which means silver has about 1,400% more upside potential than gold at this point if we do get back to those ratios.
So how much is an ounce of silver right now? Approximately.
We're selling for around $34 an ounce, which is insane.
So that's affordable.
That's the nice
the
thing
little
about
guy
silver.
Can make a big money from silver.
He can for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you get yourself 100 ounces, $3,400. I mean, if that asset 50 times, right?
No, now we're talking
180 grand.
Oh wow!
So that grows quickly, and it will. In my opinion, silver will go up 50 times.
Now I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what time frame are we looking at for that? So I could set up my retirement.
I mean, trust me, it's impossible to know. But I will give you a range. I think between 3 and 7 years. I think by the year 2030, you're going to see 500 plus silver.
Right. And who just said that too? I seen that video clip there with that real estate guru.
Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
He is very bullish on silver. He thinks over $500 an ounce as well. Keith Neumeyer from First Majestic, he's the largest silver mining company in the world. He thinks we're going over $100 very soon. Wow. I mean, there's a lot of... Because they really focus, like Keith Neumeyer from he that's all he does day and night for the last 30 years is studied the silver market, right? So he knows where the supply demand. He's never seen so much demand for the silver as there is today.
Yeah.
India alone bought 300 million ounces of silver last year, which is 40% of the annual supply. Just India.
Wow.
So it's been.
Did China get in there too? Because I know China bought a lot of gold. They bought a lot of gold, right?
Yeah,
I remember reading.
Amounts of gold.
Record
Central banks have bought record amounts of gold, mostly in China, Russia. The eastern countries are really.
See, this is something I see gold a lot. That's reported, but silver's not reported in the mainstream media.
No, so they're quiet about silver.
Yeah,
for a reason.
Yeah,
I mean it's a very, very important commodity for the world, and they know that. So it's beneficial to keep the price suppressed and cheap. Because it's affordable to do projects like EVs,
right?
And solar
Exactly.
panels. But once silver goes to $1,000 an ounce.
Does that affect will cars, EVs go up if
EVs will not, electric cars cannot sustain long term.
Yeah.
There was a report that came out, actually that was solar panels, but by 2050, 98% of all the silver produced will be used up just for solar panels. Okay. So there's not enough silver in the world to accommodate for all these green initiatives that they have. And there's no other commodity that they can use to replace silver. Because what would happen is a solar panel would not work for long periods of time because of the conductor of electricity is not as good. Because if they use copper, for example,
right, if they switch it up,
people always say, "Well, we can just use a different element," and it's like, no, you can't. It's silver is the best, and it will always be used for these products. But my point is, that EVs and electric cars and solar panels, they're not going to be able to continue the growth that they're telling you for the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah, you got California saying by 2030 all cars must be electric,
which is impossible.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Know.
There's not enough silver in the world to accommodate that initiative. So you really got to be in the silver market to understand that.
Yeah.
So when I hear the electric car, solar panel stories, it's like that'll be maybe the story for a few years.
Yeah.
But eventually that they're going to run away from that again because they're going to realize it's not sustainable.
And all they do, just like they do everything else, is just move the goalpost.
That's it.
Yeah, and then say by 2040.
Yeah,
or by
exactly. So.
Yeah. Oh my God. That sounds very exciting and attractive. I can't see why no one, like in your portfolio you got stocks. You got you're investing. What are the most common things? Stocks, real estate. You gotta have precious metals in you.
Well, that's just it.
After just learning about this, it's like you should have at least. I don't know. You're a financial advisor. You know how much should it be in your portfolio, because it looks like everything people are dominated by bonds, stocks. A little bit of real estate. You can't go wrong with those too, but I'm saying precious metal needs to be mainstream. It needs to be in people's portfolio.
And right now it's not.
It's not.
It needs to be. Right now, less than 1% of people have gold and silver in their portfolio.
Yeah.
So they're not hedged whatsoever.
Right.
So they don't have a balanced portfolio. I believe everybody should have 10 to 25% of their whole net worth in precious metals.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm above 50%, but I understand the market and I'm comfortable with that risk. But I mean, if you look back to the late 70s when we saw inflation like we do today, silver went from just over $1 to $50. So it went up 41 times.
Wow.
And gold went from $35 to $800 from 1970 to 1980. So in a 10-year period, not that long.
Yeah.
Gold went up from $35 to $800. Okay, so 25 times. So silver went up 16 times more than gold, which is a big, big difference. You make an extra 1,600%. That's a large.
That's amazing.
So I think you're going to see something very similar this time around. You're going to see silver go from what it is today, $20 US, to $8,000-9,000 and above. I think you're going to. Because the use cases for silver today are much greater than they were in 1980 when it was $50. Like the price today is 60% less than it was in 1980. And we didn't even use silver in 1980 for all the reasons we do today. So the industrial demand has grown significantly.
Yeah.
And they've printed, so the currency supply has gone up 18 times since 1980 as well. Okay, so in theory, the silver price should have gone up 18 times. It actually went down 60%. So, I mean, common sense wise, nothing about the current price of silver makes any sense. It should currently be in the $1,000 range right now, and we're at $20. So for me, this is why I do these podcasts, or I tell my friends and they're my relatives, you have to be in this market, because I think it's a once in a multi-generational opportunity to be in physical silver at this point. And now's the time. I mean, it just came down 30% in the last few months. I mean, what a perfect opportunity to buy silver at super cheap prices, because the demand is growing exponentially. The supply is slightly declining. You're having bigger disparities.
So is silver being suppressed, the price, by the powers that be, because of the manufacturing of EVs and solar panels and etc.?
For sure. Yeah. There's no question. I mean, they've been suppressing the price of silver for many, many decades. JP Morgan's been fined over $1 billion. Just recently, 2 years ago, they were fined $1 billion for manipulating the prices of gold and silver. So it's public knowledge. People know that the banks keep the price of silver keep it low. So how they do that is through the COMEX, they sell paper derivative products. They sell silver into the market, hundreds of millions of ounces a day. So they only mine 800 to 900 million ounces of silver a year, and yet they sell over 300 million ounces of paper silver into the markets every day. You know what I mean? So they're selling almost half of the annual supply into the markets every day, just to be able to keep the prices where they're at.
So to me, like, will silver ever get to that price of 1,000? Like, how would the economy look if silver's up? Like, how would
you're gonna be in a very inflationary environment? So your groceries, instead of being $200, will be $1,000. That's the world we'll be in.
Come on.
It's not that just silver's going up. So when the price of precious metals go up, all that is telling you, or when prices of all assets go up, it's not that the prices are going up, it's that the dollar is going down.
Right.
The value of the dollar is declining.
Right.
So inflation is setting in. So when silver's at $1,000, I mean, we're going to be near the stages of hyperinflation. So people are going to be broke. I mean, people aren't going to be able to afford the day-to-day expenses.
So will the people that, let's say if I invested a lot in silver right now, I would benefit still?
That'll save you.
Yeah, that'll save
you.
Yeah.
That is your lifeline. That is that is why I love educating people and getting people to invest into silver, because I know it will save them financially for what's coming.
Right.
And that's why it's such an important part of everybody's portfolio.
Yeah.
And yet nobody owns it. I mean, and it's not just silver. You should own gold in your portfolio as well. I just prefer silver right now because of the price disparity of gold and silver at this point.
Right.
And because of all the use cases for silver.
Absolutely.
It's just,
and not everybody has enough money to buy a ton of gold, right?
Well, you're going to be paying almost $2,700 an ounce for one gold bar.
Yeah.
Or you're going to pay $34 an ounce for one silver bar.
Yeah.
What would you, I mean.
And you know what? I know even if you're invested a lot in it, I don't see a way of losing. Like, does gold tank and silver? Like,
not during inflationary times.
Yeah. You know what I
Gold
mean?
has had periods where it's performed very poorly.
Yeah.
But those are usually times where interest rates are going up.
Right.
Okay. And those times we're still here, and that's why you've seen the price of gold and silver decline over the last several months.
Right.
That's because interest rates have been rising.
Right.
But like I said, next year I think things will change.
Right.
You're going to see the central banks around the world ease up again.
Yes.
Start implementing new money printing programs.
Which will rise gold and silver.
Lower rates, and then you're finally going to see that'll be the bottom of gold and silver. And that will be the bottom of cryptocurrencies, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah.
When a central bank says we're going to reduce our rates, that'll be the beginning of the next bull market in precious metals and commodities in general. That'll be the beginning of the death of the dollar, and that will be the beginning of the biggest commodity bull market in history, in my opinion.
And then, which leads me to another, I like to talk about another method of alternative investing is cryptocurrencies.
Sure.
How does that play into all this? And where do you see the future there? And do you know?
Yeah, I'm very bullish on cryptos. I mean, I think there's a huge future in cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
The future is heading digital. I think there's no denying that. And it's not just going to be central bank digital currencies. There's going to be competition, and the competition will be Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are going to change the world for the better. All different industries are going to be using blockchain technology. Artificial intelligence will be using cryptocurrencies. These are all, every single segment you can think of will be likely using cryptocurrencies in their field. But again, the beauty of Bitcoin is it's limited, it's scarce. Okay, so there's only 21 million coins that will ever be produced. So in a million years from now, there will still only be 21 million Bitcoin. So it's complete opposite of fiat currency, which they print trillions of dollars every year, devaluing your money, causing crazy high inflation. Bitcoin is complete opposite. It's deflationary. It's limited. It's scarce. So the price can only go up as the demand grows up. If the demand goes up in cryptocurrencies, the price has no choice but to go up because they're not going to be creating more and putting them into the system.
So what caused the big? Because I don't know much. That's why I'm here. I'm learning. But what caused the decline of cryptocurrency? Because what was that a high? Was that
69,000 US?
69, and what is it now? 18?
We're at 21,000.
21,000. What was that big decline? What triggered that?
It was a combination of things, but number one, I'm going to go back to the raising of the interest rates.
Okay,
that's critical, right?
That's huge.
That causes all assets to go down, and everything's gone down.
Stocks have tanked.
Real estate,
it's not like
bonds, precious metals, and crypto all got crushed. But crypto's got it the worst, right? Because they're a new asset class. It's a smaller asset class. It's going to be more volatile. Right. So we're still only 13 years into cryptocurrency. We're in the infancy stage. Yeah. It's a baby, and it's got a lot to grow. And Bitcoin will be back above 69K US again. You just got to be patient. Like I said, we got to wait till the central banks start easing up and printing more money and reducing interest rates. And then you're going to see all asset prices go up. But I think cryptocurrencies and precious metals in that environment will do better than any other asset class.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think the economy is going to struggle still.
So that's something you should have in your portfolio as well. You should diversify.
For sure.
Stocks, real estate, bonds. Now you got precious metals, gold and silver mainly. Yeah. And now a little bit of cryptocurrency should be in your portfolio as well.
1 to 5% of your portfolio, throw it in crypto. Why not?
Why not?
I mean, every time cryptocurrencies have gone down 80%, they've rebounded and gone up 10 to 20-fold in the next 2 to 3 years.
Now, if the government introduces their digital currency, does that affect the Bitcoin at all?
I think the only effect on Bitcoin will be, a positive effect on Bitcoin, to be honest with you. I think people will ask more questions. What is digital currency? Right. What is the difference between the central bank digital currency versus Bitcoin? So people start asking more questions to become more educated. Right. And once people understand the difference between a central bank digital currency and Bitcoin, it's a pretty easy choice at that point. You're going to want Bitcoin. Yeah. Bitcoin's in your possession. Okay, the government doesn't know you own it. It's decentralized, so they can't change the rules behind Bitcoin.
So what's the knock on Bitcoin too? Is like it promotes criminal activity, right?
I mean, cash is the biggest promoter of criminal activity. I mean,
we had cash for since the beginning.
You're not gonna criminals aren't gonna go away because of Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin's not causing people to become criminals.
Right, exactly.
I mean, and to be honest with you, Bitcoin is more traceable than cash. So if I'm a criminal, I'd rather use cash than Bitcoin because Bitcoin can always be traced back to the original owner. Right. So I mean, I think that is
that's a false narrative.
It's definitely a false. Because cash.
Right.
Then get rid of cash. Yeah. I mean, obviously that's a whole other topic.
I'm going blank now. I'm looking for the word. A lot of people always say this about Bitcoin. It has no
intrinsic value.
Intrinsic value.
But it does.
That's the thing I hear all the time.
It does, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
how do you counter that? Like
the technology behind it. I mean, you have millions of computers around the world holding that network a lot, keeping that network going, right? So validating every transaction, validating that Bitcoin was legitimate. There's no other network like it. It's one of the most powerful things we've ever seen. I mean,
and that's the blockchain?
The blockchain technology behind it. Yeah. I mean, that's how people get paid for Bitcoin is brought into circulation through computers, right? So that person who's mining Bitcoin will be paid in Bitcoin. And that's how Bitcoin is brought into the system.
Yeah, that's
interesting. Through mining. And
a lot of people don't understand. I don't even.
I mean, I'm not.
Even though you explained it,
I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah, well, I'm not the tech guy on this. I understand the monetary side of it more.
Right.
But again, that network and all of those miners is what gives it intrinsic value.
Right.
Not to mention your Bitcoin is held in your own possession, offline, in your own hard wallet.
Right.
Those are assets that I want to have right now. So precious metals and cryptocurrencies, the reason I like them so much is they're outside of the banking system. They're in your possession. So if there was a cyber attack on the banking system and it went down, or the banks went bankrupt, there's so many different things that a bank run happens. You can't access the bank, your money in the bank.
Right.
You have your cryptocurrencies and you have your gold and silver in your possession that you can sell at any time.
Yeah.
So if you're in a pinch, I mean, it's nice to have assets in your possession and not all of your assets tied up in a bank.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that didn't get bigger, or maybe it has. You know, during the Freedom Convoy, the truckers in Canada, when they froze those bank accounts, I think you've seen a lot of people gravitate towards other alternative methods. Right?
Metal
'Cause
specific.
They got paranoid.
We saw it.
about that, right?
I mean, our offices were full. The month after that announcement of the banks holding people's, I mean, every day we have several people come in and say, I don't trust the bank. I want to take I took my money out of the bank. I want to buy gold and silver.
Right.
Or I want to buy Bitcoin. Whatever it was. But most people were really looking for precious metals because it's something they understand. It's easier to grasp. A lot of people don't truly understand what Bitcoin is or how it works.
Right. And then you have all those what about all those other cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin? Like, I can't even keep up with them. Like, there's so many.
Yeah, I mean.
And I got involved with it too, and I bought all those cheap ones that were like 0.00.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I
thought I was going to be a billionaire off that because I had I had 1 million shares off of $300.
Yeah, no, I know, and a lot of people think that way.
Please
right?
go up to 10 cents.
Yeah,
and you're like,
exactly. I mean, there's so many. I think there's over.
Are those legitimate, or are those just like?
Most are not.
They're not, right?
But there will be 50 winners, let's just say.
Okay.
There's going to be. It's not just going to be Bitcoin. It's not just going to be Ethereum. Each coin has its own unique purposes.
Okay.
It's not all money. Bitcoin just happens to be a currency,
right?
A legitimate cryptocurrency, where Ethereum is not. It's a platform. It's it's a smart contract blockchain technology that's you build on top of. So completely different use case than Bitcoin. All of them have different use cases. I mean, there's artificial intelligence cryptocurrencies that I've owned and that have performed really, really well ever since ChatGPT was introduced. There's real estate cryptocurrencies, which I own as well, which are going to move all purchases of real estate onto the blockchain, right? So to make it more secure, where you actually
I see that. I never knew that.
Yeah, no,
that's mind blowing.
Having the title to your home on the blockchain, so you can't lie. It brings truth to everything. It brings truth to real estate. Brings truth to. I believe all assets in the future will be on the blockchain. Every single one. Your car, your home, any asset you purchase will be on the blockchain. So it is going to change the world, but for the better.
But it's on your control, not the government's control.
It brings truth. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and that's reassuring. That feels good. You know what I mean?
The other thing is it brings out the middleman. That's the biggest thing with cryptocurrencies. It cuts out the middleman and it makes things cheaper for the end user.
Right.
Okay, so that's right now, I mean, the monetary system with your PayPals, and you have all these people taking money, right? So in the end, who hurts? It's us.
Right.
People who are doing these transactions, getting charged 3-4% every time they're doing a transaction. Cryptocurrencies will reduce that overhead and reduce the cost for people like me and you because they're taking out the middleman completely.
Right. So this doom and gloom thing coming, like with the economy and stuff like that. We live in Windsor, and Windsor is going to see growth like it's never seen before. Yeah. I'm talking about, I'm thinking about my parents when they moved here from Italy. They came here. It was the automotive city of Canada, right? The top automotive city. You had the big three here. But what we're about to see is something even bigger than that, in my opinion. Yeah. So you're going to get, in Windsor, you have a bridge coming, maybe another one. You have a mega hospital. You have the battery plant.
Sure.
And right now, Stellantis is probably talking about another fourth shift. You have Amazon coming. Tons of growth. So but the economy, what's coming down, we might see another 2008, if not worse, right?
Right.
Are we okay in Windsor because we're getting this boom?
No.
No?
I mean, nobody's safe in this.
Yeah. Growth is good.
Trust me. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather be in Windsor than most other cities in Canada. However, it's not going to save our city just because we have a few thousand jobs coming in. I mean, if people are broke, they're broke. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
a few more people getting a job. If inflation goes to 10, 20%, I mean,
Yeah.
having a few jobs that are paying $50,000, $60,000 a year isn't going to revive our city. I mean, trust me, I think our real estate will hold up stronger than your Torontos or Vancouvers, because obviously their real estate markets got blown up way more than Windsor's did.
Right. Yeah.
So you'll see those cities fall harder than a city like Windsor. So
Right.
I think real estate won't get affected as much. But
Right.
if we're gonna go through what I believe will be a depression, I think we're gonna go into a recession very soon, if we're not already in it.
Yeah.
Which will lead to probably a depression. And a depression doesn't really matter if you have some jobs coming in. People are gonna not spend.
It could reverse, right? Like the battery plant could, like.
It can't reverse from a depression. Depression is
No, but I'm saying this growth might stop because we had a depression.
exactly.
These big corporations might say, "Okay, we got to trim the fat." You know what I mean?
that is a very big risk.
Yeah.
But again, if people aren't spending money and they're not confident and their investments are not performing well, they're not going to spend.
Yeah, exactly.
So our economy is going to struggle. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way around it. I don't see how these next 10 years are going to be exciting. I don't see it. I see a slowdown coming that will last several years to get out of.
Right.
But again, in the end, we will thrive again. There will be a boom. I just think because we had a 40-year bull market in bonds where interest rates have come down, I mean, we have a 14-year bull market in stocks. That seems to be over. So you got two huge cycles that have ended. So we're going to have to shift now. So we're going to have a commodity boom, and you're going to see stocks, bonds, real estate all come down. And how many years that lasts, I have no idea, but I'm guessing a few for sure.
A few years at least.
A few years at least. It could be. It could even be 10 years of slow growth or no growth.
Wow. So, I think the best thing for myself and people out there is just to diversify their portfolio.
Yeah.
And I think people got to get it, move on and from the traditional investing to
do your own research.
And it's not like precious metals is something new. This has been around since the beginning of time.
No, I know, but it's not taught to us.
Yeah,
so it's not taught to us in school. Our financial advisor don't know anything about it.
Right.
It's not even an option.
Yeah.
When you go to the bank and you ask them questions about gold and silver, nobody has.
That's why you need podcasts like this to educate people, because you don't see this in the mainstream, right?
Exactly, and that's the main reason I wanted to do this podcast. I really, really want to get the word out. I really want to save people. I really want people to be prepared for what's coming, because what is about to come, in my opinion, is one of the biggest financial. I mean, it's a reset. They talk to you about the reset all the time, the Great Reset. It's because it's legitimate. We are moving from one monetary system to a whole new system.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of pain when we do that. I mean, you have to crash the old system to usher in a new one. So that old system is going to crash, and it was designed to crash. It's a debt-based economy. It's fractional reserve banking. You have to continue to increase your debt over more than it was yesterday to be able to keep the economy alive, and that is not a system that works. A debt-based economy never works in the long run. Yes, you can build extreme wealth while it's up and running, but then it collapses. Okay, it comes crashing down because you cannot continue to go into debt forever. The U.S. government's $31 trillion in debt. I mean, where do you stop?
Yeah, and
is it going to go to 100 trillion?
It looks like I better invest in alcohol and cannabis, because people are going to need to cope with the pain if that's coming.
There's going to be a lot of pain. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's not to scare people. It's really, again, I'm looking forward to a lot of this happening, because I think the closer we get to a new system, the better. I mean, we need a new system. This old system, this fiat currencies, our money being backed by nothing. I mean, we're asking for hyperinflation.
That's one more thing I want to lead to. Will politics save us? And because politically, I'm homeless. Like I don't really see eye to eye with any party, and I'm not promoting any party. But traditionally speaking, liberals are in charge right now. Democrats, they spend money, and conservatives don't. And it looks like conservatives are coming in to, on the next election or whatever. I could see Republicans, and you already seen them take the House in the United States. And Trudeau, I mean, he's got 9 lives. Like, with all these scandals going on and stuff like that, I can't see him.
No.
He's not popular.
He won't be around.
Yeah, exactly. So now you bringing in a conservative government that doesn't spend, that saves. Will that help? Will that ease?
It's not going to help
No?
the economy.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's a little bit better.
to slow down on government spending is a good thing.
Yeah,
that has to happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is first and foremost.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be able to pay off your debts. I mean,
Right.
just because you slow down on government spending, and they're never going to slow down on government spending to
'Cause
the
you
level
always-
we're hoping for, right?
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to continue to spend and spend and spend.
Right.
You can go back decades, and all governments do the same. They're
Yeah.
all spending.
Yeah. Well, they
Exorbitant.
have to, right, to keep things going, right?
Of course, because that's what the people want.
It's just liberals spend more.
For sure, for sure. But it's not going to really. There's no person that can come into power and save the day.
Yeah.
The system is the flaw. Okay, so
Right.
the system has to go away, and you have to bring in a new system. You cannot continue to have our money backed by nothing, because it's going to go to zero.
So you don't think a guy like Pierre, leader of the Conservative Party, and Trump, the leader of the Republicans, or DeSantis, who I don't know who's going to win there, none of those guys
they can
kind
help.
of
They can help
save the day?
They can help a little bit,
Yeah.
but they can't help to fix the biggest issues
Right.
that we're facing, and that is inflation.
Right.
And that is the dying dollar. Okay, they cannot help that unless they reset the dollar and they back it by gold and silver. That's what's going to have to happen. I mean, it's just a matter of when. My guess is within the next 10 years, we'll go to a whole new monetary system, which will likely be backed by gold and silver. Or other type of commodities. I mean, the BRIC nations have been talking about it for a few years now, creating a currency together and backing it by gold, silver, and other commodities, oil, etc. So, I mean, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And when that transition happens, there's going to be a big haircut people are going to have to take. When they move to a gold and silver standard and take you off of the old system, people are going to have to take a very significant haircut, whether it's 30, 40, 50, 60, 70%, it could be even 80, 90%, where you just got to lose that. But the only way you can actually get ahead of that is by owning gold and silver, because what the prices will be reset to is gold and silver. So the price of gold and silver will go up materially, but the value of your dollar will go down significantly when that reset happens.
Yeah. No, that's some sound advice here. I don't think it gets any better. You can't get better financial advice than right here. I think we covered a lot. I know I'm pumped for the precious metals game, and even looking into cryptocurrencies now.
Sure.
I think what we learned just from today is, just to diversify. And
that's the most important thing people need to understand is just don't have all your eggs in one basket. Don't be all in on real estate. Don't be all in on stocks. Don't be all in on bonds. Don't be all in on anything.
Yeah.
Have a diversified portfolio and make sure that you have a hedge against inflation with gold and silver. I think that is, to me, that is the most important asset to own in your portfolio.
And no better time than now.
No better time.
Yeah.
I mean, you buy real estate now. I mean, are things in the real estate market looking good right now? No, they look terrible. They look very bleak. People are not spending money and looking to buy a house right now.
Right.
I mean, I'm not excited about real estate. I'm not excited about stocks. I'm not excited about bonds. The only thing that excites me right now is gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies, and commodities in general. But I like gold, silver, and crypto because they're in your possession, and you don't have to own them all in the stock market per se.
I like that too. I don't got big government over me.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels reassuring to have.
It does.
Those.
It feels very liberating when you have those assets.
Exactly.
When people come in my office and they actually touch the physical silver and gold, they have a connection with it, and they change their thought process about it, because it really gives you that piece of security. When you have that gold and silver in your possession, I mean, it changes your thoughts on assets, because right now most people's assets are digital. And if that digital system goes down, your assets are gone.
Right.
So that's a huge risk that people don't truly understand. And that's the majority of our world is their assets are digital. And there's a lot of risk there.
All right. Well,
All right, buddy.
thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for coming, man. That was
Yeah.
fun. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, no,
Looking
for
forward to
sure.
do this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
This
Thanks,
is
brother.
great.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Take care, man.